Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Batman. I'm not joking, Jer. I'm shook. I'm shook, Jer. I'm shook. The reason for the Batman thing is I was up a ladder putting the very last. We're getting to those points, Jer, where there's bits in the house where it's, this is the last one I'm doing of this scenario.
Yeah, thankfully no more of this.
And I was doing the very last window angle bead because we're plastering outside. You know the angle bead in two
Yeah, I do indeed.
You're sure you know it well. For anybody, that's the white little corner stuff you see poking through your plaster at the corners around windows and around and the corners of the house. I was putting up the last one of them, and of all the 1,000-acre forest wood that we live in, I'm just shy of Winnie the Pooh coming over the hill.
Hi.
A bat, who are supposed to be unbelievably well directioned. I got some drunk bat / lunatic flew straight into my leg. Up to the top of the ladder I was, mind. The very last rung of the ladder. New ladder I got, by the way. It's an absolutely lovely thing. I haven't had a straight ladder in my life. Every leg was always crooked and twisted. Brand new. I'd say it's twisted now after the freak out I just had. Because, do you know when you look at the thing and you go, that didn't just happen? And then it hits me. It's like, fucking bad. Here we go.
You know what I'm going to tell you, Tom?
I'm going to transform. I'm going to transform into something now. Great.
Well, don't do it till we have this podcast done. And by the way, welcome along to the Tom and Jerry Show podcast. Tom told me before we went on air that he got hit with a bat. I misheard him as saying he got bit with a bat, so I said, "Save it for the podcast, me man."
Yeah.
So this is all news to me, but I'll tell you, Tom, it's a fear of mine, and I think just about anybody. Like all creatures, great and small, I love them, but the thoughts of one of them going up your leg or up your trouser leg for any purpose. A little kitten running up your trousers. 110%.
100%. It's up your trousers.
Up your trousers.
And it's this bat. And I mean, the way I wrote it, actually, I looked at it again and went, that sounds like I just got a punishment beaten. Like,
yeah, I took a bat to the legs.
A bat to the legs. But this was an actual Morpheus flappy. But that's not the one I wanted to tell you about. And we will get into the podcast for sure, but I want to tell you about this because I know they have a special place in your heart. Coming home from a gig the other night in Burr, sitting in the middle of the driveway. What was it, Jer?
Frozen spiky solid.
A wheel spiky bay.
Yes. Oh, I seen this on your story. Yes, indeed. Is he still with you guys?
I don't know. He enjoyed the biscuit I gave him. I had a biscuit that I took from the green room. And,
lovely stuff.
I picked him up and put him over to the side, and I've nicknamed him Gordon. I don't know why. He looked at me and I went, he looks like a Gordon. And he liked the biscuit. Chocolate digestive.
These things. That's his name, Tom. I mean, you didn't name him.
That's it. Everybody was like, people were messaging going, have you given him a name? Like, why would you call him Gordon? Would you not call him Henry, or would you not go? No.
I don't name the hedgehogs. I just call them out, buddy. There was a hedgehog out Airway as well last week who did not fare as well. He was
shite.
Gone by the, there was no reviving him, Tom, at all.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put him in the pet cemetery or something like that,
I had a little bracelet that said like, organ donations, like for whatever, like
No, he had a Colombian necktie on him, God love him.
Yeah, that can happen. They're on the move at the minute. The buys are the spiky bays. There
you go. Keep an eye out for your hedgehogs. Keep an eye out for all wildlife when you're out and about driving. And speaking of which, Tom, that could lead us straight into segment number one for when you're out and about. Look at this, I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
It's almost like we prepared these things, but
how
I promise you we don't.
How are we not sponsored by Segway? How are we actually not sponsored by We're just going around doing the podcast on two Segways.
Well, listen, let's get into it anyway. The news that piqued our interest this week.
Yeah.
We always try and save that for a segment at the start of the show to lead people into the wonderful world that is Tom and Jerry. I mean, you guys know us by this stage. So we're going to kick you off, Tom. I believe you got a story for us there on a segment that we call the Weekly What Have You.
This is a very complicated case, Maud. A lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous, and a lot of strands to keep in my head, man.
We do. A shop that was dear to my heart when I lived in America because they sell everything and they sold it for half nothing. But it started out life as a pharmacy, but you could buy a telly inside there. Do you know one of these American things? Like this was in Ohio. Ohio. An 8-year-old Ohio girl. I suppose she's a native. She whipped the mother's Nissan, the Nissan Juke. She whipped it. And up the road she went. No one was injured, thanks be to God, but she went up the road and was heading to Target. I mean, a good place to aim for.
Well, I mean, like, there you go.
But she was
As
off
long
the
as she wasn't
target.
going to Walgreens.
But this was, or CVC would have made no sense at all.
Well, yeah.
But she 20-minute drive it was. She
I
headed
mean,
off.
there's a lot to unpack here, and full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, this news broke about a week or two ago. But we had other things to talk about, but we
Yeah,
wanted to come back to this one because it's close to our heart. It involves rascals,
yeah, yeah.
mischief, near misses, which is always good. We always like a good luck story on the Tom and Jerry show. If that young lady hadn't made it to Target, she'd
She
gone
wouldn't be on.
Walmart, like we wouldn't be talking about it.
No.
Um, and it's a somewhat terrifying, somewhat adorable image of like driving down the interstate and you look over and there's like an 8-year-old driving what I'm assuming was an automatic transmission car, Tom.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
basically
Listen. 100%. Like
stick it into D and away you
she
go.
wasn't dipping the clutch. Like, yeah, you know do you know what I mean? No, I love, and do you know what I love? I loved it even more, and it shouldn't make any difference. But initially, when I watched the dash cam of the cop, it was cool as a breeze, like on, yeah, they're all over the road here. It looks like a child, and they were calling it he, and they went,
Yes.
and it turned out it was, and there was even more of a roguish kind of a laugh, smile came to my face when I was like, a little young one. Fair play, because that's definitely like something a young fella
I,
would do.
I,
Like,
I I have to say, when you say 8-year-old kid takes mother's car and drives, your brain naturally goes, maybe it's a deep-rooted sexist thing, but my brain naturally went to,
no, I
oh,
don't.
young lads.
Well, for us, it's not going to be. I don't think it's sexist because when you like a story because you can relate to it. We like these rascal stories because we can relate to it. That's it, and you put yourself in. And to be fair, it was kind of led that way when they said kid, but also women tend to not do they do plenty, but they don't do as much stupid shit as men.
Yes.
Do you
As
know,
a- as
like
as as a
they're
young man would naturally do.
they're not as like I've seen to give comparisons. I see a little young one will come to the door, will go to a door and look in before stepping through it. Whereas you take a young fella, like the room could be like literally made of knives, and my lad will go running in to see what happens and then look backwards to see where he's just come from. Like, so that's why it came into my head. So when I heard it was a little girl, I was like, ah, class. I'd say she's going to be good crack. Like, do you know? And you couldn't. I mean, you can't bollock him hard over that. Like, can you? I don't know. Can
Well,
you?
I don't know. I mean, like, here's what you could bog him about it, and as this story develops 2 weeks after the fact, um, the kid, I believe, was on her way home from Target.
That's it. Like,
She had gone, and
she'd
she had
been.
racked up €400, $400 worth of purchases on the mother's credit card. Got herself a frappuccino, and got in the car and was driving back home. I mean, this is the Kevin McAllister.
Okay, that's just taking the piss now. That's you've got no control of your child if that's the case. Like this, that is because she took the credit card. She knew to be wearing like she wasn't just running around like licking windows. This young one knew to get a frappuccino. She racked up 400 quid, knew how to use a credit card. Which, by the way, if I'm a
Yeah, like,
cashier and an
yeah,
8-year-old comes up with a credit card and 400 quid, I don't know. That 400 quid might have been just one NutriBullet. I don't know.
we don't know. I don't have that information whether she went in and bought a
The
Ninja
same
air
fucking
fryer or she bought
a
LOL
load of
dolls
lippy.
in 10 different shops.
Yeah. So
But yeah, who's taking contactless payment off a clear 8-year-old?
yeah. But yeah, more than anything, parents need to be looking at themselves going, what have we done? Like, it's another thing if they scoot up the road to their friend and, they go
Right.
off picking conkers. But that kid drove 20 minutes to Target and was heading home, flying all over the road, probably listened to Taylor Swift or something on
You know what
Spotify.
I will say? Well, she'd have to have grabbed her mom's phone as well to get the Spotify going. But like maybe she did. This kid is
They need to keep an eye on that child.
the great cat burglar. There's something adorable about it that she probably thought she was playing mommy, you know what I mean? Or she was playing a game like, oh, this is what mommies do. They get in their car and no, that's adorable, kid. But do that in your imagination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold a
Yeah.
plate in front of the telly and be like, "Vroom, I'm driving.
Yeah. I
Don't
mean,
get in the car."
the
And
the American notion is, the lemonade stand or whatever on the end of the driveway. Like, oh,
yeah.
that's changed. That means credit card is gone, and so is the Nissan Juke. It is up the fucking road. Do you know? in a
I'd love it if the kid got into the car and her first instinct was just to start adjusting the seat, be like, who is at this fucking thing? Ah, Jesus. Now I have this to deal with.
Looks down at the petrol like, well, for the love of
Yeah.
Christ
Oh,
Almighty,
yeah.
it's always left
Leave
up
it
to
with
me.
nothing.
Leave it with nothing. That's it. Yeah, just sniffing it.
But it got me thinking, Tom, the whole story got me thinking now on a couple of things. This kid is 8 years old and can drive, which a tale of two podcasters. There's Tom and there's Jerry. For Tom, she left it very late. For Jerry, she could have added another 12 years to it before she learned how to drive.
Yeah, yeah. I learned how to drive, and I'm sure I must have said this many times before in a Datsun Cherry. We must look up a Datsun Cherry. I haven't seen one nearly since then. You could start it with a flathead screwdriver. It was that kind of a car, and it had been a very ex-family car of friends of mine up the road, the Fields, and their brother just thought it was fine because,
I'm looking at it now, Tom. A fine car to drive in.
yeah, I mean, it was proper steel. I remember you could knock on it, and it was like, oh, that's like knocking on a steel door, that kind of steel.
On that subject, Tom, like I remember cars in the 80s, but I remember any car that my dad ever had, um, Golfs and the whatnot,
Mm,
Audis, and as the day rolled on, you could stand on the roof of them.
yeah, and
Like that
wouldn't
was
wrinkle.
like just a thing that we would do as kids is like get up on the bonnet and walk across the top of the car and back down the other side,
Yeah, and
and not get given out to for it.
yeah, because it's metal.
Like you're
It
going to
should be able
dent
to
that.
stand up. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it should be able to stand up to it.
No, these days it's like, if you're talking to someone, you kind of feel bad lying back against the car or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't put your arse on the car and just have a crack with them.
Should be soft. But this was
Yeah.
this seemed a good idea at the time. Nothing ill came from it. Learning how to drive in its Datsun Cherry. I mean, it took a couple of cushions and whatnot, and I might add there was a clutch. So just saying. But
That's
myself and my buddy Robert, we learned to drive, and promptly then were given tasks of driving small tractors around the place for doing small little tasks and whatnot, where you had to be a big boy. But I do remember one skullduggery moment, and it was a great moment between myself and my grandfather. Um, I, well, I didn't steal. I just wanted to show one of the lads that I could drive, and my mother had a Volvo 340, I think it was.
okay.
It was one of the hatchback ones, but it was like a nice yoke. But there was weight to this thing. So I said I'd go
Yes.
for a spin around the back field, the back acre. Um, it was wet as fuck, Ger.
Okay.
Buried it like 3 feet into it,
Oh yeah.
down to the
Yeah.
axles.
Yeah.
No matter what I could do, couldn't get it back out.
No.
I ran up the road, up to the grandfather's farm. He came down, brought his Massey 35, pulled it out promptly, and then went, no, we need to sort this situation. We washed the wheels, we washed the whole car down, all the spots.
Nice.
We went and found 4 sods of turf over yonder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Brought him back, laid him back in place. And it wasn't until like 3 weeks later when the grass hadn't taken fully.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
4 yellow patches.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it was only like, but years and years later, it came up. I went, all right.
That's some good. That's some good grandfather right there.
Oh,
Like
it's great.
that's
Great.
decent.
But there was no like scolding me. It was nothing. It was just
No.
like,
No. No.
we
Just
just let's sort this.
let's literally cover this up.
Yeah, so I whatever the little girl's name, we'll call her Molly. She's got a rascal's name like Molly.
Yeah,
know.
Molly, you know what? Good hustle, kid, but stay off the road until you're of age. And
Put us up a petrol in it if you are going to take it.
yeah, become an Uber driver and pay your mum back the $400 that you spent on M&Ms in 12 different shops to not arouse suspicion.
She hit a letterbox. That's what she hit.
She hit a letterbox.
She admitted that to cops. I did hit a letterbox. I won't lie to you, lads.
Yeah, and then she followed it up with, "What are you going to do about it, pig?
Come at me, Rasher.
Come at me." Yeah, she's not all sweetness and light. Oh my God, there you go. Little Ohio native, Miss Ohio. You love to see it. And I'll tell you, Tom, she was very nearly this lad. We're in
She
equal
was
opportunities. This lad,
100% she nearly was because of a story like that. That's if we had more details on it, like what she bought.
Yes.
was this the carry on she was at the whole time? If we had a bit more backstory on it, she would have become this lad, I think. But
I
she
want to
did.
see the parking job that she did because I got to tell you,
That's big for me. That was my first thought was like, but then these days, do you know what? You look at it like I was pulling into Super Value yesterday and grown ass woman got out of this car and to say she parked like a prick,
yeah,
like
it's
it
unheard
does
of.
it was it would you'd go out of your way to park like such a bollocks. Like she took 3 spaces. She managed to take 3 spaces. Like phenomenal level of
Here's a
fuckery,
couple of
man.
things that's happening now. Like people say, "Oh, you took 2 spaces." They think you took one to the left or one to the right of where you parked. No, sometimes if it's where the spaces where it's like a car
Mm.
facing a car, if you drive too far into that, it's very possible you'll take four in one bite.
And
Do
they
you know
were
what I mean?
that she took 3, and I'd say if I went around for a look, they were staggered. She might have actually taken all 4. But to be fair, her twin was a little further up. This outlet who in the shop felt the need to just stop and lean on shelves everywhere I was to look at what he was going to purchase, even though he didn't seem like he needed leaning on. He was just one of those annoying fuckers who wore like a racing hat. Do you know? No, do you
Yes.
know a Trilby style thing that would go to the horse racing?
Fucking dose.
He did something very similar. I'm like, is this the evening of prick? So I'm
Yeah.
an 8 year old fucking it in any which way. Jer,
Honestly,
I'd
do you know what? She was probably looking at the parent and baby spaces going like, well, I'm a baby, but I don't have the parent. Can I
yeah,
park in this
of course,
technically?
yeah. I mean, she's got her mother's car, so
Yeah.
I see
I
it as
don't
being
know.
an okay. I'd give the green light on that one.
I give the green light on that one. Any rate, she didn't park in the second segment of the Tom and Jerry show.
No, she
We had to
didn't.
divvy it up ever so slightly different because there was someone else that caught our eye for this lad. There was a this lad, Tom, and that's why we have a segment of the show about this
This
lad.
lad.
Now there's that guy.
Yeah.
Uh, Tom, there was a documentary released. We're going to go around the houses on this lad because this story has this lad's to spare.
It would, but I mean,
It is any amount of this, lads. It's hard to pick just one out of it.
when you get into the world of pro wrestling, which I did as a child, and I still, I would hold a special place, but I'm not the enthusiast that you
No.
are. But still, I'd still, on Instagram when you see a clip, you'd be like, oh, jeez, yeah, the Steiner brothers. I remember them mad
Yes,
bastards full of
indeed.
juice. Yeah, 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 I remember that. But I didn't
But
know there was a Netflix documentary out yet. I
there's
knew it was
yes, it
coming.
landed the documentary Mr. McMahon chronicling the life of wrestling head honcho Vince McMahon landed last week, and Vince McMahon could be this lad every single day of the week. Um, and here's the thing with wrestling, Tom. Why I still follow it to this day. It would put me to the sword now to sit and watch an hour of wrestling. It's hard to watch now these days, when you know what's going on. But the actual wrestling that takes place in the ring is not what you watch it for. You watch it to stay in touch with all the backstage drama because we're talking about some of the biggest egos and maddest bastards and craziest this lad characters you've ever seen in your life before they step through a curtain and the comings and goings and dealings of them.
Well, I read Bret the Hitman's Heart's book, and it was one of those look behind the curtain kayfabe things,
Yes,
as they call it. Like,
yes, indeed.
and you're kind of going, Jesus Christ. Every one of these was an absolute lunatic. This was one of the most level-headed blokes in there, and he was working with nothing but absolute maniacs.
Just
Every one of them.
absolute maniacs. And the Vince McMahon documentary, which is on Netflix, it's 6 1-hour episodes. It's
Does it delve into his latest weirdness at all, or was it produced by him?
it, it kayfabes that a little bit now. I got to tell you now.
Well, the kayfabe my whole whatever he's done to his eyebrows and his mustache and that hair thing. I mean, he looks like some
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
villain out of a cartoon that was drawn in the 80s.
yeah. He looks like he's trying to catch the pigeon.
Yeah, he was so cute enough to sell up to the UFC too. He knew what was
Well, this
coming
is
down the
it
track,
too.
the smart bastard. But anyway,
But
it's
anyway,
not
yes, the
not for me.
documentary gathered together everybody nearest and dearest to Vince and a series of talking heads to chat away to him. And the one thing that you get from it all, Tom, the one thing that I learned more than anything else is that these people are above all else, to a man and to a woman, seasoned professional liars.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
They don't know what the truth is. And I know we all know that it's quote unquote fake and all this kind of thing, but they'll still tell stories to keep a legend going or to keep a storyline going or to keep a belief going in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary. You with me?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've smelled some bullshit on a few interviews. I've gone, what? All right, steady on now.
And in the middle of all of these people that came to talk about Vince McMahon is this week's this lad, the one guy who shone through, the real American Hulk Hogan.
I am. I look. Don't let the mustache fool you. This is mine. He has his. That's just it. It's
That's
not.
just it.
We're not on the same page. Since the day I heard the weird stories with him and Papa Love Sponge and what was going on with him
Yeah.
and the wife, it's like what?
The
Okay, you're down the room riding his missus. I do. Yeah, and then yeah, he's a
and all the rest. I mean, Hulk Hogan is like
strange. But then, of
he's a
course,
couple
he's
of
going
things,
to be
Tom.
when you have a vitamin range. Do you know? And you're like going, take your vitamins, say your prayers, brother. And you're going, but dude, you're taking so many steroids right
Oh,
now.
you're injecting horse piss
What?
into your eyes here, lad.
What are you on about? Say your prayers, be a good American. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to suplex the Japanese guy just for Pearl Harbor. He's actually Hawaiian or Samoan, actually.
Yeah,
Not a bit from China or Japan at all. Pearl Harbor was a long time ago, so I don't know
yeah.
what you're on
It's
about,
got
Hulk.
nothing to do with anything here,
Nothing at
Hulk.
all. Nothing at all. But you're go on. Yeah, keep
But
going.
above all else, okay, so Hulk Hogan is a couple of things, right? Number one, Hulk Hogan is like by any man's measure a piece of shit. Like he's a fucking dirtbag.
Is
All
he?
right.
I don't know enough
Oh no,
other
he'd
than
be
I
well
dipped out
there.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
actual the backstory of everything really,
yeah,
other
yeah.
than what I hear from Stone
No,
Cold
he's
Steve
pulled a
Austin.
couple of dirty deeds, and regardless of what he was secretly recorded saying or doing, which would be enough to get you struck off in any man's book. But regardless of that, so he is a dirtbag. But he is perhaps one of the biggest liars you've ever met in your life. And because he stood out telling lies about things that he himself is on record saying a year ago, lies on top of lies. And we're going to
Right.
get into it here now. I'm going to hit you with five of Hulk Hogan's all time whoppers and liars. And we're just
And
going
these
to.
aren't work related because I mean these are actually things he said out as
These are, yes.
Terry, whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
So
Like,
this isn't Hulk Hogan on screen saying, and then I did this, brother, and then I did this. This is an interview, like I'm talking to you, where
okay,
Hulk Hogan said, in all earnestness, some of the following things. How about that, Tom?
yeah,
That'd fill the best of segments, wouldn't it?
yeah. I'm all down for that. Let's have it.
All right. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the lies that he has told about Andre the Giant's weight.
Okay.
Okay. How much did Andre the Giant weigh? And this is what really got him into the segment here, above Vince McMahon himself, who I'm sure will be a this lad later on in the day. In the documentary on Netflix, Hulk Hogan, who fought Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, said that he slammed Andre and Andre weighed 700 pounds.
What?
Now, Andre the Giant was billed going into WrestleMania 3, announcing in the corner from Toulon, France, weighing 500 pounds, Andre the
Yeah.
Giant. And Andre the Giant at the time going in there probably weighed around about 400 pounds, give or take.
Yeah, because they give everybody a few inches and
They
give
give
everybody a
everybody,
few
yeah, why
pounds.
not? Nobody's going to put them on the scales.
Like, that's such a mad lie that you wonder, is he gone a bit fucking doolally? Like, is he gone a bit
Well,
Joe Biden? Like, has he lost the fucking plot? Are you going, are you gone fucking wrong? Sure, there's clearly you couldn't lift 700 pounds.
you
Nobody
couldn't
could.
lift
Not
700
in a
pounds.
fit.
Not,
And
not in any metric could you lift 700 pounds.
how
And
old,
not for nothing,
how
Hulk.
old is he actually, Hulk?
Hulk's in
Been
the
around for,
70s. Yeah, he's about
oh, he
75.
is.
Yeah,
He's all of it. Yeah.
he's every inch of it. More on that in
Right.
a second. Uh, Also, Hulk, not for nothing. You were on a documentary like 2 years ago. That's the one thing I will say about the documentary on Vince. It retreaded a lot of ground.
Ah, for
That if
fuck's
you've
sake,
watched
right?
anything about any of the history of WrestleMania documentaries or Hulk Hogan documentaries or anything that has been produced by the WWE themselves, Hulk, you were in a documentary 18 months ago saying that Andre weighed 600 pounds. And you were in a documentary before that saying that he weighed 550. Every ounce of 550 pounds, brother. And it was the first time I slammed him. It's not. No, it's not, Hulk, because there's footage of you slamming him, 6 years previously when you worked in the AWA.
But this was what kind of a slam did he? How did he
He
slam
did.
him?
He did. He did a standard body slam because there's no harm to Andre the Giant at the time. He could barely stand.
But to be fair, like,
So this wasn't a fisherman's suplex or anything like that. This was a standard pick you up scoop slam.
like, I watched the kind of schooling of it too, like the schooling of these things. You're not picking up a fucking dead bag of sand.
No, you're
The
not
lad,
deadlift. No,
the lad gives you a fair bit now. He
he
scoops
the
up and
lad
then
posts himself up, if you
he
will,
he hikes himself up, and then you're going to obviously guide him up into the air legs, and then he puts his hand on your hip,
and pushes himself up. He
pushes
posts himself
himself
up.
up,
Yeah,
up, and
yeah.
yeah, you just gotta I'm not saying okay, he's a horse of a man. You're not just going to do it, but at the same time, Hulk, it isn't that you picked him up out of a chair like this. There's a great story of Arnold Schwarzenegger was on set. Did you hear this about John Conan? And
But
they ran into to Andre some which I don't know, was Andre in Conan or one of these Conan movies or something. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe they just ran into him
yeah,
and it got on powerfully. He was out with him and Jesus, I think he was an ex basketball. Anyway, there were two 7 foot men alongside him,
yes. I've seen the picture.
but Schwarzenegger says he goes, it was amazing. He goes, I was doing well at the time, so I'd met Andre before, so I felt this was my time to pay for the meal. He goes, I pay. Schwarzenegger,
Yeah,
I pay. And he was like, no, I'll pay. And he went up to pay. And he says, and I was a big man. I was 250 pounds at the time. He says, he picked me up and sat me on top of a cupboard
yeah,
in the restaurant like a child.
yeah,
And he says it was the most demeaning but hilarious.
yeah.
He says, I was just up there just going, wow, I'm
Just pick him
supposed to
up
be
like
this
a child.
action hero. And Andre went, stay there, Arnold. And but yeah, 550 pounds, that's as big as a man needs to get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
And it's impressive. Like, say that your body slam 400 pounds, you're going to do it. Okay, I got a lot of fucking lies to get through
oh,
here, Tom.
sorry.
So
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna
So
bust through
load of
these
shit about
things here.
Andre. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just one that's easily it's measurable.
Provable.
Here's the
Yeah,
weight the
yeah, yeah.
man was. So why are
Yeah.
you 40 years after the fact saying that it was something other than that? Other than you're a shit talker.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one that might have a little bit of truth in it, but again, like I say, you're adding an inch or two to it. Hulk Hogan claims that he was 6'9", but now he's only 6'4" because of years of dropping the leg on people.
Now, what's his name says something similar. Dropping the leg on people is what was his finish move. It wasn't like dropping the
Yes.
hand. He was
No.
actually, Stone Cold Steve Austin said there has been a compression in his hips, joint, and
Yes.
neck, and back and neck, and he's lost about an inch from doing a
Yes, but
similar
there's a
thing.
big difference, Tom, between 1 inch and 5 inches.
Yeah, Eric, away. That's for fuck's sake. You were never 6'9" for starters, anyway. Not a fit.
How about that? How about that? How about yeah, exactly.
Not a
I was
fit.
6'9", brother, and I lost all that height because I was dropping the leg, or you just weren't 6'9".
Like when he was standing over Sly was at 5'7". There's no way you were a foot and 2 inch. Like
A
you
foot
were
and
not
2 inches above him.
14 inches over the
No,
man. Like you weren't.
no.
Like
You're a tall guy.
oh Jesus,
You're a tall
he
man.
was 6'5", 6'6", but 6'9". That's a rare.
That's a rare.
Fella. That's a rare
Yeah,
fella to
yeah,
come
yeah.
across. Like that'd be part of your shtick nearly. Like giant would be nearly in your
Exactly.
name. You know what I mean? Like
And we all know how lads, Tom, they sort of shrink down a little bit as they get older. It's just a natural part of
yeah.
life. And we said the man's in his 70s. But that one now, Tom, that's like compared to what I'm about to hit you with now in a second, like that's a little bit of a pride lie. Like I want to kind of
where do you? But what at that stage you should be nearly just like. That's why I like Steve Austin when he talks because he takes the piss out of himself. Like
yes.
there isn't kind of a still holding on to that. Like, do you still think I'm a legend? He's like,
Like I
yeah,
say,
you did it all.
this is what comes through in the documentary, Tom. These people don't know the truth from lies.
Of course they don't.
They
Sure,
literally don't. But
he calls himself Hulk Hogan. His name is Terry fucking Batello
Terry
or something.
Bollea.
Balea.
Yeah.
At what stage do you pack it? Like, you know,
Oh no, like he's looking at himself in the mirror like the bad guy at the end of Twin Peaks. Like, he's just like he doesn't fucking know who he is at this stage.
that's it. He's lost the fucking rag altogether. Like,
Well, for those two lies, Tom, at least there's a little bit of okay, I used to be a lot stronger and I used to be a lot taller. All right, okay, fair enough. Uh this is the third one, Tom. He
mm,
claims in his youth, when he got hot and he was the biggest thing in wrestling, that one year he wrestled 400 times. That's okay. You might wrestle 400 times. No, no. Hulk Hogan claims he wrestled 400 days in a year. So
Ashley,
it's not like I wrestled twice in a day, that's two, and you do that and you count it up over 365 days and it comes to 400 days. I wrestled 6 shows and twice on Sundays. No, no. He claims to have wrestled 400 days in a row in one calendar year.
does he think there's 400 days in a year?
Well, I'm glad
Ha-
you asked, Tom.
Has he invented some new Aztec calendar?
I'm glad you asked. Hulk Hogan claims that because he was wrestling in America, then flying to Japan, okay, and wrestling there, and then just being put right back on a plane and flying back to America and wrestling another show there, which I have to tell you, Tom, it's very likely he did, okay? But he reckons that if you count that up, that makes 400 days in a year,
He got 35 extra days, kept his
beating
side.
the sun.
So he jumped straight off the plane, run straight to the yoke, and he did all while what? When was he lifting a weight? Or like when was he,
I
you
will
know,
say, I will say to their credit with the schedule,
always
you could
bananas.
you could have actually done that. You could have been wrestling every night of the week, and then you did 2 or 3 shows in Japan. You'd fly over,
But you
do
give
the
it a
show, and
rest.
then have to be back for
You
Saturday night's main event or
you
whatever.
didn't gain 35 extra fucking days
No,
in the
Tom,
year.
because that's not a thing that fucking happens, brother.
No, come on now. Come on now. It's not, and it's also, if by magic you were gaining the day, you literally have to factor in the time of flying in it. No, for fuck's sake.
No, it's not a thing. It's not.
Ah,
You
look.
don't. Zigzag over and back the international timeline and gain and lose days. But do you see what? This is what I always find is some of the most annoying lies, Tom, the most maddening lies are ones that right-minded people such as you or I have to sit down and say, no, hang on a second, let me do a couple of sums here because that's
But
clearly bullshit. But I can't just. I feel like I need to get an atlas and just kind of point out a few things. Do you see what he's doing to us, Tom? Do you see how mad he's making us?
no, do you see, the thing is, this is pure America, right? You can literally say mad shit like that. And if you have two or three people in around you on a telly s- going, he's got it. Yeah, he's what he's saying is about right. Large swathes of people will go, I'm not looking into it, not fact checking it. That's 100% it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's how mad America is. Like Hulk Hogan has gone his entire career saying things like, I made 400 days in the year. You did, Hulk. Fair fucks to you, bye. Fair play.
Tough going, Hulk. Yeah, but
Fair
that's
play
it.
to you.
We used to be tougher.
Thanks a million for that. We were looking to get the hay in actually, and fuck it only for the extra fucking 2 days of the week you created, you mad bastard. Fuck
That's
off
like
with you.
Marty Moen heading to New Zealand where the cracket only starts and he coming back and saying, yep, 410 days because I was a month in New Zealand drawing silage or drawing sugar cane or whatever the hell them hobbits grow down there.
Even my seat,
Drawing lambas bread.
my fucking seat just gave up there. It was like, I can't take any more of this Hulk bullshit. Let's come on, two more
I'll give you
pure
one more. I'll give you one more, okay?
of
I'll give you one more and
madness.
we'll wrap
I
it up,
half
okay?
feel sorry for the mad fucking Egypt at this stage now. Jesus.
But just,
Right.
I'm going to go rapid fire here. I'll give you one more that I want to linger on and one more that we could talk all night. Um, he was one of the guys that was going to start the UFC, but then decided not to because it was too violent. Spoiler alert, Tom, didn't happen. And also he was this close. I know this is a podcast, so you can't see how close my fingers are together, ladies and gentlemen, but
They're
very,
stuck
very
together.
close.
They're stuck
Yes.
together.
He was this close to being the first bass player for Metallica, but he was too busy wrestling, so he didn't want to do it. James Hetfield was asked about this and had no clue what he was talking about.
They have a similar moustache. That's about it. I get
Yeah.
compared to Hatfield. I've never been to Hulk Hogan actually, but often to Hatfield because I
Yeah.
suppose we just look like normal people. But
Also Elvis Presley. And I will say that, Elvis is from Memphis and wrestling was big in Memphis. That is a fact. That's a candid fact.
hold on, what are you
Jerry the
saying about?
Kill, Jerry
What
the
is
King
it?
Lawler is from Memphis. Elvis Presley was a big Hulk Hogan fan when Hulk Hogan started.
Hulk Hogan
Oh no, yeah,
started.
no. Elvis was long dead by the time Hulk
Yeah,
started. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it, Tom. It's a lie. It's a
i-
blatant, barefaced lie.
does he?
Easily.
Does Hulk think he's Forrest Gump?
He thinks he's the Forrest Gump of wrestling. Yeah.
This Walter Mitty shit, like you're going, yeah, I could have been a metallic. Not a fucking fit.
Not a chance, no.
Not a.
I will say he can play the bass. I will give him his credit. He can play. He is playing bass on "I Am a Real American." That is Hulk Hogan playing
And
bass.
there was a music video where they stuck all the wrestlers in, and half of them looked absolutely sickened to have to make it because it looked like
Yeah,
it was a load of shite.
and Hulk's there playing slap bass like in Seinfeld. Bow, ba-dum,
Yeah.
bow.
Are
But yeah,
you?
no. Elvis Presley was very impressed by a young Hulk Hogan, or would have been if he hadn't died a year before Hogan hit the mat.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, but the
Yeah.
big one I want to talk to you about it. This is amazing, okay, and it's quite a sad story. Hulk Hogan, you might
I'm
remember the
fucking
big.
feeling sad for the mad bastard
Oh,
already.
easy,
Like,
yeah.
he's fucking
Um,
wrong.
so you might remember the big Wembley. This might stick in your memory. There was a big Wembley show with the British Bulldog and Bret Hart
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
that? And it was
Yeah.
the big SummerSlam show. And Hulk Hogan was at that show, and he met a Make-A-Wish child who Hulk met and spent some time with before the match. And then got him a space right at ringside so that he could see the thing. But as Hulk's own words, you could tell the kid was very sick. Uh, and he got him a space, and he went out to wrestle. But when Hulk looked down, the space was empty. The kid wasn't there, and he later learned that the child had passed away.
Right.
Yeah,
Did that happen?
there are holes in the story.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
the whole being in the audience where he said the inflow was gone from, I suppose, is one. But
yeah.
what?
The other
What?
bigger hole is that Hulk Hogan wasn't with the WWF when they went to Wembley. Wasn't on the show. Wasn't in the country. Was filming Thunder in Paradise or whatever in Universal
Or Mr. Nanny.
or Mr. Nanny. Like literally all it takes is for you to look at the card for that and go, Hulk Hogan's not on this. He's not on this. So he has invented a, an ill child. I gotta tell you,
Jesus Christ.
frowned upon is what that is, right? And yeah, I was there wrestling with Jimmy Hart, the man at the south there by my side, and we chatted with this kid all day, every day. And then he just passed away. And I wrote the song Hulkster in Heaven over it, a song that was released 3 years before the 1992 Wembley show.
How in fuck's name? But this is what is wrong with wrestling in a sense. But then I suppose you do want these over the top characters. Is that if you leave them in there, like if you leave something in the oven for long enough, it's going to go to fuck. And he's been way too long to the point now that he's just in his brain is inventing stories. And see, he has people around him, much like O.J. Simpson would have people around him going, "That's a great idea. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great idea. We'll
You
break into
should
the
do that,
hotel
Hulk.
room, steal back." Yeah, geez, I'd say you were Hulk. I'd say you were, because they're all
Oh, yeah.
there's lackeys getting money from hanging around and doing bits and bobs for him, and they're
But
just going,
that's the crazy thing, Tom. Like he's not just. I just want to stress that all these lies weren't told to the lads at the bar or like chatting with fans backstage. Like he was telling some of these on the 60 Minutes of this world, like
"Well,
sit down interviews.
but that's what I mean. He's gone to that point in his head where he's going, I can invent anything, and 'twas real.
Yeah,
Because nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to tell me otherwise.
and
Like,
I gotta tell you, Tom, it's one of my least it's one of the things I don't like in a liar. I don't mind a liar telling me lies. Okay,
yeah,
like oh, I did this, this, and this, and that's why I couldn't do X, Y, Z. And in your heart and soul, number one, I don't care what you did.
yeah.
So you don't feel the need to make a lie up, okay? Because I don't care. I don't need to know why you did this, this, and this, because honestly, I don't care about it. Take it. But don't walk away from me thinking, fooled them. You didn't. You didn't, buddy. Don't get all smug going, McBride knew no better.
Yes, yeah,
I used to
yeah,
work
yeah,
with
yeah,
people to be
yeah.
like, oh, well, I was sick this morning and I couldn't come in. Number one, I don't care whether you're here or not, right? And number two, I know rightly you weren't sick. And then it'd be
Ye
like, yeah, I pulled one over on them. And I'm like, No, you didn't. That's the bit that annoys me. And Hulk Hogan will look you in the eye to this day and say, you could go, Hulk Hogan, listen, brother, people have pulled him up on it. You weren't in Wembley for that SummerSlam show. And he's like, well, you go do your research of it and you'll find the truth in it, brother. Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, I don't think Hulk Hogan meant as much to me as he possibly did to you at some point because you seemed quite stunk by it and hating him. Now, I just think he's a fucking idiot.
Nah, I gotta tell you,
If you're
I was always more of a macho man kid. So no,
uh,
I was always more of a
Lord of Mercy
flying
on the
Brian
Macho Man,
Pillman guy.
another fella whose heart gave out probably as a direct result of way too much steroids.
Yes,
Um,
indeed. I got to tell you, if the Tom and Jerry show rolls on for long enough, Tom, we will get all these guys on as this lad. But we're going to leave it at the Hulkster right now because he was the king of bullshit. Um, and real or otherwise, the man knew how to start a row.
he did, he did. Sure, I suppose while we're at it, we may as well have a cut at one ourselves.
My attitude is, don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Since moving back home, I won't say frequently because I listen to a lot of Spotify and audiobooks and things like that, and
Yes.
but every so often I will tune into the local radio because I've been on it a few times, and they hold a special place in my heart because they're trying their damnedest to stay between the lines because it's hard on radio stations. You gotta how many isn't
Hey.
today, but they're still keeping it old school and they do a thing, and I think it should be. I reckon it should be not applauded, but maybe with a bit of sincerity to it, should be maybe put on more radio stations. And they do the daily death notices, Ger.
The death notices, Tom. The list of bereavements.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit more brevity in it. There's a bit more respect in it. It's when somebody's saying somebody's name. Like,
Well,
sure, I know RIP.ie is,
this is what we want to
you
talk
know,
about, Tom. Yeah. There's the classic death notices as you would know them on your
yeah,
radio are themselves an endangered species.
yeah, they are, yeah, yeah.
And
As per the people that they're talking about as well.
exactly. We got to this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to pull back the curtain of the Tom and Jerry show, but as we went to record tonight, the news broke that Chris Christopherson has passed away.
Lord
And we were
mercy.
going to put him in the news or this lad or whatnot, but we found like we don't want to be the obituaries podcast where
Yeah,
every
yeah,
week this
yeah.
lad is just whatever celebrity died. But rest in peace, Chris Christopherson. May the road rise to meet you, and so on. Uh, but how that manifested itself in this row is I said to Tom, RIP.ie is where you get your death notices. But Tom,
Yeah.
as you can hear there, is still quite old school. He's still kind of thinking, no, the radio is the death notices.
What?
And there's the conflict, Tom. There's the get the match in the ring, brother.
Well, to be fair, like still to now, there's my old lad would do something annoying every single time that we're in the same vicinity from each other, and he will go, "Whoosh, turn it up. I'll see if I'm on it." But there is something about like nostalgia, and I'm not heavy on nostalgia. I empty my mental hard drive every 30 days. Like I can't tell you anything that happened a month ago. But when I hear there's a tune on Tipperary Midwest Radio, and it's like one of those recorders, those
Yeah.
plastic. It's horrendous, but there's something. I'm like, not that I'm excited to hear who died, but at the same time, there's time to be a bit more cop on about yourself here now, right?
Yes.
Let's listen, and there seems to be a bit. It's like anything, I suppose. If you hear it or you see somebody saying it, there's a lot more weight to it than just reading it. You know, that kind of way.
I get you. Well,
And
okay,
and
so
they'll throw in the nickname too. You know what I mean? Jerry the Gearbox Ryan.
there's a couple of things at play here, Tom. Now, for good or for bad or for indifferent, right? Um, and the more I think about it, I'm like, okay. I'm pretty sure, like, the most I would ever have listened to the deaths in my life would be you'd be at home and your parents would be listening to the radio and the deaths would come on. Primarily my mom, because my dad would be working or whatnot. I can only remember a couple of times where that lady, my mom, didn't know who was going to be on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it
Oh, didn't know
was,
who was going to be on it. Was
yeah. There was only once or twice where she would have heard a name on the radio for the deaths and would have went, "Oh my God, so and so just died." Like, oh my God, that's news to me. Like she would know ahead of time that so and so was dead, and she was listening to the deaths to get funeral
was
arrangements.
your mother flying to Japan and gaining an extra day? Just-
No, but I'll tell you, like the country grapevine moves faster than the radio. How about that?
Right. Okay. Yeah. 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 There is the jungle wire, no doubt. Like, but I don't think.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that while it is being people, not that there was a protest, but there was talk maybe that it was a bit macabre or a bit, that it should be only in a place people go looking for it. I'm like, well, Jesus, do you know what? I got
Well,
news for you. I got
that's
news for
kind
you.
of that's kind of what I'm driving at now.
Yeah.
So like my mum would tune into the deaths to find out
Funeral arrangements more than
funeral
anything. Yeah.
arrangements,
Yeah.
and every now and then get surprised by Gutubin, a death out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I would argue that nobody goes on to RIP.ie without knowing full well that the person has died, and they want to click in and get the funeral arrangements. You're not just logging into RIP.ie in the morning and just scanning to see who's dead in the
Oh,
location.
you don't think so? Oh, I can tell you here and now.
Really?
I did a bit about this radio thing, right? I had a bit about
Of the radio or the RIP?
no, the bit about the radio, and then people had come up to me afterwards. This is exactly it's the
Okay,
perfect,
this is the bit. This is the
and
right.
this is the bit, and they would come up to me afterwards and go, "What? It's RIP dot IE is kind of taken over from the Death Note. You're chatting with audience members afterwards, like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess so." And they were kind of
I
saying,
don't. That's alien to me, Tom, because I'd always be in my car and get the fuck out of
to be
there.
fair, most of the time I'm the same too. Like, but
We're like, oh, I
the
don't want
the
to
few
talk. Don't
people,
talk to me. You'll find I'm not funny. I'm only funny on stage. And even then, your mileage may vary.
um, yeah, I've got a fake off stage persona as well. I'm very charming. Um,
Yeah.
but what they were saying was that like their mams or whatever, they they would this is their fucking jam. Like, do you know
They
other
go
people?
on and they
Other
search.
people go onto YouTube and just want to watch, the Daily Hot whatever, or they go on to
Really?
whatever their news article thing is, wherever they get their feed from, Twitter or whatever. And mams and nanas, primarily, this is their jam. They would go on and scan for it and go, uh-huh. Did we know him now? And they had no intent. Yeah, and
Really?
I asked about it. I was like, so they had no intentions. No, I can't write anything about it because every fucking comedian. This is up there with Ryanair jokes right now. It's been done to death, for the want of a better phrase, right?
Gotcha.
But I ain't touching it. But
Oh
what it
man, there
was is
goes my
that
comeback show.
I know, I know. Um, but they this is their thing. They would go on and go, Do you know the same people that love death? You know what I mean? They'll just
Love
go
a bit
on
of debt.
and they're only hoping to find. Jeez, I didn't. Did we know them now? Oh, sure. She the sister now. She was a nurse over in London, and that's it's to create content
Really?
piece. Hey, these are content creators for when such and such calls round or whatever. They have to have so you can't not have some value in your pocket in the way of conversation. There's no like it's all well and good that bullshit talk. Just even the rightly drawn in. You know that shit. But if you have a juicy bit of a come here and I'll tell you.
Do you know who's
Do you know,
dead?
do you know who's dead? And this is RIP.E. And I
That's
was
an
kind of going,
icebreaker, all right.
yeah, but Jesus, I was kind of going, Christ Almighty, Jesus, could you not tell us? Hey, you know what? There's an asteroid that's just going to pass by us. Imagine if that was on the way. What would be no,
No.
death, death.
Asteroid.ie.
Asteroid.ie. Yeah, no, we're all going to be on RIP.ie if that thing ever hits.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But I was just thinking, you know what? Leave it to the radio. Tune it
Leave it
in
to
at
the radio.
let a
Well,
certain time just get enough and just go back out of it. We don't need to know all the deaths. Like to sit down and I'm not saying outlaw it, but at the same time, maybe RIP.ie could just come alive between 11 and 12 in a day and go away again. Because
a
I have a
temporary
fear that
website.
these nanas and old ones are spending too long, much like we're worried about our children spending too long on YouTube Kids and whatnot. Uh, possibly old ones are spending too long on RIP.ie.
Well, I will say this, Tom, now, and this is, I don't know what point I'm trying to make here. I don't know what argument I'm trying to make here, whether it's for good or for ill. I'm going to tell it to you, and you're going to be like, and that's a good thing. Or I'm going to tell it to you, and you're going to be like, and that's the worst thing I ever heard in my life.
Okay,
Should never have been allowed to happen.
hit me.
I figure that RIP.ie is responsible for more computer literacy in the older generation than literally anything that has ever happened.
Okay, that's a valid point you make,
Like
actually.
you
Yeah.
could not drag old people to computers before they had RIP.ie that they could, and not for nothing, I'm just going to say as well, the pandemic putting all the masses on live streams, that was another big paradigm shift in our
Yeah,
house.
that was a big
That
move.
was what got my mum to learn how to use an iPad.
Yeah,
The deaths and the
yeah.
masses. Now, like I say, Tom, is it good that the older generation are now online? Uh Almost certainly not, Tom.
No, and because no, do you know what it does? It opens more fucking
It's
questions.
another Pandora's box, isn't it?
That it opens more phone calls about now. If I moved it, oh, for the love of Christ, oh jeez.
Well, you make a very good point, Tom, because my parents are more than capable of looking up RIP.ie and finding who's dead, but it falls on me to write condolences.
You are a professional writer. To be fair, you are. To be
I mean,
fair, Jer, if you were a scaffolder and they were asking to come down off the oak and quickly write a condolence, do you know what you should do? What you really should do is teach them how to copy and paste, right? And send them an email with a
Tom,
stock.
do you think I have not done my utmost to teach them keyboard shortcuts? They're like, we can type in RIP.ie, like, don't ask too much of us here now.
How about in the condolences, they just write R.I.P. Ted.
From the McBrides.
I don't know if we even had a row there, but I'm not for RIP.E. I'm just not. I'm not. I'm not.
I'm borderline on it. I mean, I will say we need either the RIP or the radio. We can't be a country that doesn't know who up the road is or isn't dead.
True.
That's
True.
chaos.
True. Yeah. 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 You're
There
right.
you go. But
You're
I'll
right.
tell you what's not dead. The Tom and Jerry show going stronger than ever, Tom, I will say.
And I have an info update for us. We were talking last week about that chap. He was this lad last week. On Lynch.
Yes, young Lynch, yeah.
And he made a statement at the end. He says, "Well, what now that the season is drying up? What are you going to do?" And he says, "Well, parlour washings." And I was kind of close. Mihal, our in situ farmer, our in-house farmer, he messaged, and I can't find. I was searching. You might have looked rude there. I was searching for my phone. I can't remember if he messaged us on Instagram or where it was, and I couldn't find it. And essentially, it is the case that you have to have. Well, I guess it's a lagoon of some sort, but tanks washed out, and it's shite. It's shite,
Oh,
basically. That'd be in the parlor, the milking parlor, that
yes.
needs to be washed out every day. Needs to be washed out clean, possibly twice a day, if not at the end of the evening. But that can't be left run out around the fucking field, or can't be left to run out around the road or whatever, a yard. It has to run to a set place
Okay.
because it could get to a waterway, I guess, and
Yeah.
contaminate it. But that's allowed to be. It's not pure. It's watered down fucking whiskey. It's it's not.
Tom, if water has a little bit of shite in it, that's shite.
Yeah, right enough. But it's not the good slurry. It's not the
Right,
high
okay.
high grade. This is watered down stuff, and that's absolutely fine to suck out and throw it out around the field because it still has plenty of good growy stuff in it in the way of nitrogen and whatnot. So, but
And that is parlor washing.
that is parlor washings. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, hey, look at that. That's the Tom and Jerry community just at work, ladies and gentlemen.
love it. Love it. Always
There you
grinding
go.
away in the background. Keep us up to date because no doubt we get things fair wrong.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we
Not
don't
Hulk
Google it.
Hogan wrong, but
Yeah, no, not quite. Yeah, not that level of fucking weirdness.
but
But
anyway. If you've got anything for us, you can send it to us on the social medias, is what I'm driving like an 8-year-old in Ohio towards here, Tom. You can get us at Tom and Jerry Show on Instagram and Twitter, Jerry with a G, or if you want to get either me or Tom separate, at Jerry McBride, at Tom_O'Mahony. Will get us pretty much anywhere you want us to be. We're not going to be on the blue skies anytime soon, and we damn near might not be on Twitter anytime soon if he keeps up this I'll play acting. But you can get us there. Follow us. Have the crack. What else can they do, Tom?
go ahead and hit subscribe. If it's your first time, you know what to do. Just go, Jesus, I like these fellas. We have a rake of stuff backed away. Hit subscribe, whatever platform you're on. I know now on some of them, I don't know on Spotify. I think you can leave comments now on Spotify. Love to see comments on Spotify if we can. But do give us the 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. We have a clean bill of health at 5 stars at the minute because you're fucking class. It just makes it more visible to more people. Screen grab. Let us know where you're listening. Do you know what I mean? If you're up a tree, if you're doing performance surgery, we want to know if we got anything completely wrong or you have an opinion on it yourself. Fire it towards us. Or if you've come across some sort of thing that you went, this is pure Tom and Jerry show. Send it on to us. Most likely, I would say Instagram will probably get us safely.
Yes.
Send it on to us. Give us a follow and lash it on. We will definitely be back in contact. I promise.
Yes, regardless of what you're doing, be it parlour washing or waving at sick kids in Wembley Stadium at a wrestling show, you weren't at.
I'm about to go away and find a rafter to throw my legs over and hang upside down and put my wings that are now grown, Jerry, because it turns out I'm after Morpheus and I'm a Morpheus now. I'm a bat. What can I say? I'm a bat.
That's in the Hulk Hogan version of this, Tom. Number one, the reality was you got bumped into by a bat.
Yeah.
Number two, you got mauled by a bat and thrown off a 30-foot ladder, brother.
Yeah, through a table.
Yes, and kicked out of two. All right, okay, everybody, go on. We talk to you.
Good luck.